Hello, my name is Jody Jacks, and I'm an owner here at Broadway Clay, and I'm here to teach you how to do a fairy house today. This one is going to be from a large cylinder. In your kit, you should have a large piece of slab, some extra clay to build with, a paint set, a paintbrush. These are actually glazes, and you can watch the glazing tutorial we have here. We will also be including a cutting tool, and that's also a sculpture tool, and a paper clip to cut with. You will also be receiving a cylinder. We would love it if you would return this to us, and a piece of paper which I will be wrapping around your cylinder like this. It is meant to be a little bit loose so that you are going to be able to pull it off later. If you wanted to at home, you could find some silverware to use. You could even use a knife if you're not a child, or if you're a child, ask your parent. But I have a spoon, a fork, and a knife, and then you need to get yourself a little bowl of water. Anything you use at home, just make sure you rinse it before you use it again. The first thing that you are going to do is roll your slab onto your cylinder. You will take it like this, and it should be a little longer than it needs to be. I'm going to line it up with the bottom of my cardboard, and I'm going to roll it over. I do want you to have quite a bit of overlap. I don't want you to line those straight up. The more surface area, the better connection that you're going to get. And so having just two pieces come together isn't as much surface area as having bigger pieces come together. You could cut this in a straight line. You could cut this in a circle. You could make this a zigzag line. You could make this a curvy line. It is totally up to you, but I am just taking my paper clip. I'm holding it like this, and I am cutting with that paper clip. So I actually have some slab left over, which you will as well. When you take this, you are going to have to score and slip this. Scoring and slipping is scratching into the surface, and today our slip is just going to be a little bit of this water. You could use your fork, or you could use your paper clip. I'm going to use my fork. It's a little bit faster. I'm going to roll this up. I'm going to draw a line where they connect, and I'm going to scratch both surfaces in two directions. Scratching this way, and then I will be scratching on here in both directions as well. You're going to take some water and add it onto there. This is a lot of surface area. You don't want to add it on and smooth your scratches out, because that's the opposite of what you want to do. Those scratches are there so that those pieces are going to hold on to each other. Two flat pieces in the kiln, when they heat up and shrink, will pop apart. But if there's that scoring and slipping, as they shrink, they're going to hold together better. I'm going to take that, I'm going to gently take it, and I'm going to tap this against my cylinder. Gently pick it up and hold that up. This does not need to be tight, so it doesn't have to be super tight against your inner cylinder. This cardboard cylinder is just giving us some structure so we can press against this. Eventually, we are going to let your house set up, and then you can actually add more to it. Once you have that cylinder together, if you have any cracking or anything, just gently take your finger and smooth those out. And you're just going to kind of apply pressure. Okay, a little bit of cracking is totally fine, and that is going to look good with the aesthetic of your fairy house. I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to come over to my extra slab, and we're going to make the roof to set aside next. So take about this much clay. It should be enough that you could hold it into the palm of your hand. Take this and smack it to form a big ball of clay. The smacking is pushing those particles together and making this clay stronger. It's also making sure that you don't have cracking in places. So once you've smoothed that out, if you have some cracks or anything, just put those together. You'll have a ball about this size. You're going to want to take this, poke your thumb through, twist it a little bit. You want to have about a thumb's thickness of clay at the bottom of this. This is going to be a large pinch pot. Normally we take pinch pots and form them into a cup shape. This is going to be, should look like the top of a mushroom. So I'm actually going to pinch this out sideways. And if you get cracking, just gently push things together. The more you apply pressure, the better that's going to work. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to pinch this until it is going to be a little bit bigger than my cylinder over here. This is going to be the roof of my fairy house. I have some cracking, so I'm just taking my fingers, pushing down and smoothing out. Something about clay is if you mess up, you can't just roll this back into a ball and reuse it because it's already gonna have lost moisture and it's probably just gonna crack more on you. So just go ahead and get another piece of clay and you can send the reclaim back to us and we will reclaim it here at the store. So I'm just looking to see, that's a little bit bigger than my mushroom. I'm gonna set this aside as well and let it firm up. I would suggest leaving this out for 15 minutes to 30 minutes so that they harden up a little bit. You don't want it to dry out, don't leave it in front of a fan, but if a little bit of the moisture comes out, you will know because it's gonna be a little bit harder and a little easier for you to work with. Since I'm trying to do this take in one take, I'm gonna go ahead and work on mine soft, but I work with clay all the time, so I'm a little more familiar with how it works. I am going to take my paper clip and I'm going to carve out a little door. If you wanted, you could actually draw on things so that you knew where you wanted your pieces to be. So I might draw a little door out, or you might not want a hole there. You might want to actually take your clay and make a little door like this and attach it on. That is going to be up to you. Feel free to modify what I'm showing you, but I do think you should have a door. I'm going to cut mine out and I am pushing until I feel that paper under there. I'm going to take my paper clip and pull it off. I'm actually going to save this because I might use it for something else. Okay, so now I have a door. I'm going to smooth this out. I could even make some windows if I wanted to. I'm going to keep all these extra pieces to do other things with if I would like to. I wouldn't suggest cutting tons of things out because it will affect your structure, and if there's lots of holes and not enough clay, it's going to be easy to break. When you bring this back to us, I would suggest kind of keeping it covered. It's easier for us to fix something if it's still wet. Once it dries, it becomes more brittle and easier to break, and you can't fix it once it's dry. Okay, from here on out, I'm going to be attaching things, and you have to remember that when you attach, you have to scratch and add some water. We call that scoring and slipping here. If you don't, it will probably pop off in the kiln. It may be on there for you later, but it may pop off. We had a cute little frog house. He had a cute little frog on it. He'd scored and slipped a little, but not quite enough, and his frog jumped off. So we don't want things jumping off your pot. Please remember to score and slip. I am going to do something decorative. I'm going to make a coil. So this is slab. That's hand building slab. Hand building a pinch pot, and this is the third technique that's most common. It's called a coil. You have to have wet clay. If your coil doesn't work, You can't roll it back up into a ball and make it work again. You're gonna have to use it that first time. So know where you want these coils to go. You're gonna pinch this out into kind of a snake of clay. And I'm going to roll this by putting my fingers in the middle and moving out. That was way too long, so I'm going to keep that out. And I am going to use this to go around my door frame. I'm gonna keep that, I'm gonna work with that in just a second. I'm gonna go around my door frame like this. Oop, cracked. Okay, so I want it to go on like that, so I'm going to score with my paper clip, because this is a pretty small area, in one direction, then in the other. Going to score on my coil where I want that to attach. Gonna add a little bit of water without smoothing. Going to put this on here and gently press. If there's a little bit of cracking, it's no big deal. You can smooth it out then. Once it dries out, you can smooth it out later. I'm going to put one around my window here. Actually going to lay this down and I'm going to smooth it out so it's a little bit flatter on this side. Score. Two directions. And when I attach this on, please apply pressure. That is why we have this paper cardboard cylinder in the middle, is so that you can put things on there. I like to take them and I wiggle things into place and I gently tap. Now you can go ahead, you could roll these out, you could make vines on this. That's our birds, our bird clock in here. You could add, you could write on this and add graffiti. You could make these into windows and you could add those on. I am going to post some pictures at the end of this video of other people who have built fairy houses so you can see how you would like to build on. You can put things at the bottom. What I will warn you is things that are really, really skinny. For instance, if I took this and rolled this out and attached this on like this, let's show you from the side here, that does not have a lot of surface area to attach. It is also really skinny. Anything thinner than your pinky has a really high chance of breaking. So if you wanted to do something like that, I would attach it on so there's more surface area to attach, or make it thicker. But honestly, even if you made this thicker and you have something sticking off like this, there is a high probability something that thin sticking off is going to, with the slightest nudge, fall off. Think about construction. You definitely want there to be lots of surface area. You definitely want things to be thicker. Once you are done decorating your house, you should feel that it is firm. It is firming up just a little bit. You've probably been working for about 30 to 45 minutes and you let it sit out for 15 to 35 minutes. You are going to then take your hand and open it up. So I'm pushing my hand in and I'm opening it up, which makes me hold that cylinder and pull it out. At this point, you can also gently take this paper and wiggle it around and you should be able to pull that out as well. It does not work very well to try to pull the paper out first. It is best to pull out your cardboard cylinder by taking your hand, opening it up while you're in there so you're pulling it out, and then pulling out your paper. At this point, you are ready to put your roof on. What I do for this is I take this, I press down just slightly so that I can see where that is going to lay in my pinch pot. Don't press hard because you could smash the whole thing. You could just take this and put it on. You could eyeball it. You could take your paper clip and go around it to mark on that. Either way is fine. There's lots of ways to do this, but what I do want is for lots of scratching to happen up here and lots of scratching to happen inside of your pinch pot so that we are definitely going to get a good seal when we put these together. Once again, a little bit of water without smoothing down the scratching, and some like this. Now I'm going to take this and gently tap that down. I'm going to wiggle it just a little bit. Okay, it's not lifting off. That's affixed very well. You may now start your glazing. Be aware that these are all the glazes that you have. So you're not going to be able to paint this entire fairy house. What you can do is paint your designs on here and understand that the background of this is going to be a creamy white. Once you bring this back to us, we will fire it at a bisque fire around 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. We will bring it out and we are then going to dip it in a clear glaze. So the whole thing is going to be glossy for you. Then we are going to put it in the kiln and we are going to high fire it to about 2200 degrees Fahrenheit. Just so you know, this process takes at least 2 weeks to let things dry, to fire once, to dip it in glaze, then to glaze fire it again. Each time we have to let the kiln cool back down to just about room temperature. You may glaze however you want. The only thing I ask is if a part of this is laying on the table, you are going to need to not glaze this part that lays on the table. This is the part that is going to go on our kiln shelf in the kiln, and glaze turns glassy and sticky. So we don't want that to happen. You may also want to watch our glaze tutorial to show you how to work with glazes. The last thing I want you to know is you are going to have some extra clay to return to us. If you would like to make a few extra things, they need to be big enough that we can write your name on the bottom. We will actually be carving that in there in our own handwriting so that we can see it. If you would like to carve that in there and we feel that it looks good enough, we will keep that there too. You will return this carefully in your box, wrapping it up and lay it gently outside. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. There are so many different options with this. I'm going to be posting some pictures at the end of this tutorial for you to look at. I'll probably post some in the beginning too, just so you can think of ideas before you get done. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a lovely day.